Now we're looking at practice exercise on page 28 of the textbook. We are still doing unit conversions, but now our unit conversions have gotten a little bit more complex. So we are starting with 28 miles per gallon as our unit, and we want to end with kilometers per liter. It's a good idea to rewrite this a little bit more mathematically. So when we see per, we should think of division. So 28 miles per gallon can also be written as miles over gallons, and kilometers per liter as kilometers over liters. So if you look at these units, each unit is composed of two units, one in the numerator, one in the denominator, and you should be able to see that we are changing the length unit, miles, into another length unit, kilometers, and we are changing the volume unit of gallons into the volume unit of liters. This means that we are going to need two conversion factors, one to get between miles and kilometers, one to get between gallons and liters. So we can look at both of these conversion factors in the back of the textbook, and then we can apply them to our conversions. I've already shown you in the previous video how to take the equality statement and turn that into a conversion factor. So right now I'm just going to work through the math for this problem. Go ahead and revisit the previous video if you're not sure how I've created these conversion factors. So when I start, like I said, I always like to start by figuring out what's happening with my units. So I'm going to write out my starting information. I've got 28 miles per gallon. I know I'm going to use a conversion factor, and I know the point of that conversion factor is to get rid of one unit and turn it into a unit that I want. It doesn't matter if I convert the miles first or the gallons first, whichever one is easier for you. I'm going to go ahead and convert the miles first. So since I know I'm trying to get rid of units of miles, I'm going to make sure that miles is in the denominator of this conversion factor, and kilometers is in the top numerator. So this makes sure that my miles cancel out and leave me with units of kilometers, which is what I want. Again, if you look at the conversion factors in the back of the book, you should be able to figure out where the numbers go. This is very similar to the last problem we did. So we know that one of the ways you can write this conversion factor with the units of kilometers on top is that for every 1 kilometer, there are 0.62137 miles. But that only solves half my problem. So that's converted miles into kilometers, but I still have gallons. I don't want gallons, which means I'm going to need to use a second conversion factor, and this conversion factor is going to need to get rid of the units of gallons for me. If you look at this problem, this time gallons is in the denominator of the fraction. This is a little different from how we were doing it before. So how do I cancel something in the denominator? I need to cancel it with something in the numerator. So in this case, the unit of gallon is going to go on top, and the unit of liter is going to go on the bottom in the denominator. And again, this is because when gallon starts in the denominator, it will only cancel with a unit in the numerator, and this will leave me with units of liters. This makes sense because I know that ultimately I do want the unit of liters in the denominator because I'm trying to solve for kilometers per liter. So again, if you look in the back of the book, you should be able to figure out what the conversion factor is. I need to write this so that gallons are on top, and I know that 1 gallon is going to be the same as 3.7854 liters. Okay, so let's follow this through one more time just to make sure we understand. The first conversion factor, this conversion factor here, this conversion factor canceled out miles, turned it into kilometers. The second conversion factor, this conversion factor here, canceled out gallons and left me with liters. So now all I need to do is actually plug all of these numbers into my calculator in order to do the math. Now there are a few different ways to enter everything into your calculator. I would make sure you are practicing this, you're getting the same answer, so you can do this repeatedly and correctly on a test. So you can either multiply by 1 over 0.62137 and then multiply by 1 over 3.7854, or since the number 1 is in the numerator, you can just divide by these two values. Doesn't matter how you do it, use parentheses very carefully, very cautiously. Make sure you understand exactly what calculation you are putting into your calculator. Okay, so when I put this into my calculator, I get a very, very ugly number. I get 11.90408371, and I know that's in units of kilometers per liter. So I need to go back and check significant figures. Again, we're not going to worry about conversion factors for significant figures. We want to go back to the original number. So my original number, 28, has 2 significant figures, which means my final answer can only have 2 significant figures. So I know I'm keeping the first 2 digits, the 11, but if I look to the right of the decimal, this is 11.9. That 0.9 is greater than 0.5, which means I need to round up. So this number written with 2 significant figures is actually 12. So my final answer is 12 kilometers per liter. I'm going to circle that since it's my final answer. So 28 miles per gallon is the same as 2 kilometers per liter with 2 significant figures.